Rawteur. By now you've all seen the Nicole Curtis clip.
Last one. Oh, fart nigga.
That's Nicole Curtis on the set of Rehab Addict. And the reason that I believe HGTV is lying in their statement is because that clip is 2 years old, right? But of course it just came out within the last 48 hours. Now, if HGTV is claiming that they just found out only after the release of this tape by Radar Online, then HGTV are also admitting that there was possibly a cover-up on set. Right? Because the statement they released is short, so I'll read it. It says, HGTV was recently made aware of an offensive racial comment made during the filming of Rehab Addict. Not only is language like this hurtful and disappointing to our viewers, partners, and employees, it does not align with the views of HGTV. Accordingly, we have removed the series from all HGTV platforms. We remain dedicated to fostering a culture of respect and inclusion across our content and our workplace. Now, notice the wording. They said recently. Now, recently could be lawyer speak for 2 years, or it could be lawyer speak for, within the last 24 to 48 hours, right? That's why they said recently and not a specific date of when they found out, because then they can just obfuscate when it is that they actually knew that this incident happened. However, depending on what they mean by recently would determine who covered this up, right? Because again, this was 2 years ago. So the reason we're only finding out about it now is because it was covered up. Now, either HGTV knew about it 2 years ago and they covered it up, or HGTV is accusing one of the two production companies that film Rehab Addict of covering this up. Now, I've worked on many sets and I know exactly how a fire like this would get handled. Now, as producers, we call our issues fires. And our jobs, in part, as producers, are to put out said fires. We're quote unquote firefighters, right? It's a thing we say. Now, when I worked on Terry Crews Saves Christmas, and you can swap in any rehab show because they're all run the same, whether it's Flip This House, Flip or Flop, or any of them, there's always a production truck or production tent where the field producer is watching everything being captured. So the minute Nicole used the slur, there would have been at least 3 to 5 people in that production area. So if you take those 3 to 5 people plus Nicole, right? Then there was the man standing next to her in the clip, and then the cameraman. I mean, that's at least 6 people who saw and heard what she said. Now, as the field producer on set that day, there's no possible way you wouldn't immediately step aside and call an executive and let them know what just happened. Because if I were producing in the field that day, I wouldn't risk my job for Nicole, right? I wouldn't risk someone being so offended that they go to HR and now it spirals into something else because I didn't report it. Right? That's going up the chain immediately. I'm telling an executive immediately. So at least one executive producer 1000% knows. And that's if we're to believe that one of these two production companies didn't cover this up. So let's assume they didn't cover it up, right? An executive producer from one of the production companies knows at this point, because there's execs at the production company and then there's execs at HGTV, right? So now ask yourself, would an executive from a production company that has a working relationship with a network outside of just this one show, that they wouldn't tell an executive at the network what just happened? Because think about it, Departure Films does Flip This House. They do HGTV Dream Home. I think that one has something to do with Nicole Curtis, but they have a slate of other shows that have nothing to do with Nicole Curtis. So you're telling me they're going to risk their entire relationship with HGTV just to bury this clip? What about Magnetic Productions? That's the other production company behind Rehab Addict. You think they covered it up too? Right? I don't see a world where any executive from one of these companies would risk their livelihood by attempting to cover this up. So that's why I don't believe they did. I believe it got passed up the chain from the field producer to one of the executives in either one or both of the production companies, Rawteur and Magnetic. And one of those executives reached out to somebody, one of the executives at HGTV, and let them know. So for them to say recently, they're trying to obfuscate when they knew about this, right? And in doing so, it reads like they just found out 24 to 48 hours, which shifts the blame onto the production companies. And I think that's absurdly wrong, right? Now, here's the thing. These shows are like families, right? Now, when one person knows, everyone knows, right? I know stuff about some people that you may love dearly that would do Ellen DeGeneres level damage. And so do a lot of the people who worked alongside me. But it's not our jobs to leak that sort of information, right? Especially when it's not illegal. If it's illegal, then you know what I mean? Like, go to the cops, right? It's still not necessary to leak, right? But in situations like this, that is for HR and for the executives to do. That is not for a field producer, right, to do. That is not for any of the production assistants to do. It's not for them to go to Radar Online or to go on Twitter or Instagram or wherever else and tell the world what just happened, right? Now, as you see, it's only once the leaks start or like this clip comes out, then it becomes real. And then the people at the top decide to make a statement. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I believe is situational. Now, in this situation, what Nicole said was wrong. But I also can't sit here and pretend like nobody knew about this for 2 years, especially when it was on video. And not just any video. I mean, this wasn't a paparazzi footage. This wasn't paparazzi footage. And it wasn't like a fan filming this. This was production footage. At the very least, it was filmed on set by someone in production, right? Which means it existed inside the production pipeline from day one. And how you know that? How do you know that? Because the minute that Nicole said the slur, you immediately hear her say, hey, kill that, kill that, kill that.
What the is that I just said? Nick, you gotta, can you kill that?
Which is basically, she's asking for someone in the production truck to get rid of it. She's basically trying to destroy evidence, right? Now, that's neither here nor there, because what happened was it got hidden. Now, whether or not she played a role in that, who helped, who participated in that, we don't know. But what I do want to look at is what HGTV did. They not only canceled the new season, they pulled the entire catalog, right? Which brings me to something important, the timing. This is a 2-year-old clip, and it got released the exact day the new season was about to premiere. To me, that sounds like retaliation. Now, against who, we don't know, right? It could be someone who had a gripe with the production company, who felt slighted. It could have been a PA who felt slighted. Maybe they didn't get what that they weren't paid or something, like, you know what I mean? Whatever. And they wanted to slight the production company. Or it could have been an executive, either from the production company or HGTV or whoever, that was targeting Nicole specifically. But we don't know, because in the PA example, Nicole could just be collateral damage, right? Because sometimes the target isn't the person on camera. Sometimes the target is the people and the system that's behind them, Right now, I don't think this is the end of this story, because Nicole Curtis's career is all but ruined at this point, right? Her show got pulled, which means residuals are done. So I fully expect that there's more coming from this story, and possibly even a lawsuit. Now, whether that's against HGTV or one of the production companies or whoever, but like I'm more than I would be surprised if she's not already talking to lawyers. I would be absolutely surprised, because despite the fact that she was in the wrong and that she said a slur, this clip didn't surface organically. It was weaponized, and it was released at the moment that it would do the most damage. So what do you think? Do you think that this cover-up, because it was a cover-up, do you think that this cover-up was on the production level between Departure and Magnetic, or do you think that HGTV covered it up? You let me know. Let me know in the comments below. And for more industry analysis, check out this video right here.